Good morning, everyone. Today we will start our new chapter, that is, chapter number 2 from history, the kings and kingdoms. Here are the synopses of this chapter: the Gurjara Pratihara, the Rashtrakutas, the Palas, the Rajputs, Sultan Mahmud of Ghazni, administration of the kingdoms, revenue. Indian subcontinent was a huge landmass and people were not aware of the extent and variety of culture that existed. The jungles, mountains, rivers and seas are prevented free movement and means of navigation were few. Those who ventured out and found suitable areas established new kingdoms or expanded their existing ones, especially after the demise of King Harsha, who was a ruler of vast territory. The kingdom started splitting into smaller domains and became weak without a central control. The subordinates of the kings were either big landlords and warrior chiefs and were known as samantas. They were required to govern a smaller portion of a kingdom. The samantas were supposed to give gifts to the king and help the king in the administration of parts of the territory. So, our first foremost important topic of this chapter is Gurjara Pratihara dynasty. The Gurjara Pratihara dynasty was an imperial power during the late classical period on the Indian subcontinent that ruled much of northern India from the mid 8th to 11th century. They ruled first at Ujjain and later at Kannauj. The Gurjara Pratihara were instrumental in containing Arab armies moving east to the Indus River. Nagabhatta first defeated the Arab army under Junaid and Tamim during the Caliphate campaign in India. Under Nagabhatta II, the Gurjara Pratihara became the most powerful dynasty in northern India. He was succeeded by his son Ramabhadra, who ruled briefly before being succeeded by his son Mihir Bhoja. Under Mihir Bhoja and his successor Mahendrapala I, the Pratihara Empire reached its peak of prosperity and power. The Gurjara Pratihara are also known for their sculptures, carved panels, and open pavilion style temples. The greatest development of their style of temple building was at Khajuraho, now a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The power of the Pratiharas was weakened by dynastic strife. It was further diminished as a result of a great raid led by the Rashtrakuta ruler Indra III, who in about 1960 sacked Kannauj under a succession of rather obscure rulers. The Pratiharas never regained their former influence. Their feudatories became more and more powerful, one by one, throwing off their elegance until by end of the 10th century. Our second topic is Rashtrakuta dynasty. The origin of the Rashtrakuta dynasty has been a controversial topic of Indian history. This issue pertained to the origin of the earliest ancestor of the Rashtrakutas during the time of Emperor Ashoka in the 2nd century BCE, and the connection between the several Rashtrakuta dynasties that ruled a small kingdom in northern and central India and the Deccan between the 6th and 7th centuries. The relationship of this medieval Rashtrakutas to the most famous later dynasty, the Rashtrakuta of Manikheta, present-day Malkhed in the Gulbarga district, Karnataka state, who ruled between the 8th and the 10th century, has also been debated. Scholars, however, concur that the rulers of the imperial dynasty in the 8th to 10th century made the Kannada language as important as Sanskrit. Rashtrakuta inscription use both Kannada and Sanskrit, and the rulers encouraged literature in both the languages. The earliest existing Kannada literary writings are credited to their court poets and royalty. Though these Rashtrakutas were Kannadigas, they were conversant in a northern Deccan language as well. The heart of the Rashtrakuta Empire included near all of Karnataka, Maharashtra, and some parts of Andhra Pradesh, an area which the Rashtrakuta ruled for over 2 centuries. Dantidurga, successor of Krishna I, brought major portion of present-day Karnataka and Konkan under this control. During the rule of Dhruva, who took control in 780 CE, the king expanded into an empire that encompassed all of the territory between the Kaveri River and central India. He led successful expedition to Kannauj, the seat of northern Indian power, where he defeated the Gurjara, Pratihara and the Palas of Bengal, gaining him fame and vast uh, body but not more territory. He also brought the eastern Chalukyas and Gangas and Talakad under his control. According to Altekar and Sen, the Rashtrakuta became a pan-India power during his rule. Our next topic is Palas. Palas dynasty is the ruling dynasty in Bihar and Bengal in 1770 to 810 CE in the 12th century. Its founder, Gopala, was a local chieftain who rose to power in the mid-8th century during a period of anarchy. His successor, Dharmpala, reigned in 770 to 810, greatly expanded the kingdom and for a while was in control of Kannauj. Pala power was maintained under Devpala, reigned in a particular date about 810 to 850 CE, who carried out raids in the north and the Deccan and the peninsula, but thereafter the dynasty declined in power and Mahendrapala, the Gurjara Pratihara emperor of Kannauj in the late 9th and the early 10th century, penetrated as far as northern Bengal. Pala's strength was restored by Mahipala I, reigned at 988 to 1038 CE, whose influence reached as far as Varanasi, but on his death the kingdom again weakened. Rampala reigned at 1077 to 1120. The last important Pala king did much to strengthen the dynasty in Bengal and expanded its power in Assam and Odisha. He is the hero of a Sanskrit historical poem, the Ramcharitra of Sandhyakara. On his death, however, the dynasty was virtually eclipsed by the rising power of Senas. Though Pala king continued to rule in southern Bihar for 40 years, the main capital of the Palas appeared to have an Mugdagiri, now Mungar, in eastern Bihar. The Pala were the supporters of Buddhism, and it was through missionaries from their kingdom that Buddhism was finally established in Tibet. Under Pala patronage, a distinctive school of art arose, of which many noteworthy sculptures in stones and metal survive. The power of Palas received a blow in the middle of the 12th century at the hand of Vijayasena, the founder of the Sena dynasty. Lakshman Sena was another ruler of the Sena dynasty, was defeated by Turkish invader named Bakhtiyar Khalji. The Palas established their kingdom in Bengal in 8th century CE. The dynasty was founded by King Gopala and his capital was at Punjab and Bihar. Vikramshila University was established by King Dharmapala, which became a famous center of learning. Next topic is tripartite struggle. During the 8th century AD, a struggle for control over the Kannauj took place among three major empires of India, namely the Palas, the Pratiharas, and the Rashtrakutas. The Palas ruled the eastern part of India, while the Pratiharas controlled the western India, and the Rashtrakutas ruled over the Deccan region of India. The struggle for control over Kannauj among these three dynasties is known as tripartite struggle in Indian history. Both Dharmapala, the Pala king, and the Pratihara king, Vasaraja, clashed against each other for Kannauj. The latter emerged victorious but was defeated by Rashtrakuta king Dhruva first. However, the moment the Rashtrakuta king returned to his kingdom in south, Pala king Dharmapala took the advantages of the situation and captured Kannauj, but his control over Kannauj was temporary. The tripartite struggle thus lasted for 2 centuries and made all these three dynasties weak in the long run. This resulted into the political disintegration of the country and benefited the Islamic invaders from Middle East. Yashovarman set up a kingdom at Kannauj around 730 AD. He was followed by three kings, namely Indrayuddha, Vijrayuddha, and Chakrayuddha, who ruled over Kannauj between the end of the 18th century Unfortunately, these rulers proved to be weak and kingdom of Kannauj, the Gujra Pratihara of Bhinmal, Rajasthan, the Palavas of Bengal and Bihar, and the Rashtrakutas of the Manyakheta, Karnataka fought war against each other to take advantages of the immense economic and strategic potentialities of Kannauj. This tripartite struggle for Kannauj continued for almost 200 years, and its result ended in favor of Gujra Pratihara ruler Nagabhatta II, who made Kannauj the capital of Gujra Pratihara kingdom. This kingdom ruled for nearly 3 centuries. Next topic is Rajput. Rajput, that particular word is derived from Sanskrit, that means Rajaputra, the son of a king, is a larger multi-component cluster of castes, kin bodies, and local groups sharing social status and ideology descent originating from the Indian subcontinent. The term Rajput covers various patrilineal clans historically associated with warriorhood. Several clans claim Rajput status, although not all claims are universally accepted. The term Rajput acquired its present meaning only in the 16th century, although it is also used to describe the earlier lineages that emerged in northern India from the 6th century onwards. In the 11th century, the term Rajputra appeared as a non-hereditary designation for royal officials. Gradually, the Rajput emerged as a social class comprising people from a variety of ethnic and geographical backgrounds. During the 16th and 17th century, the membership of this class became largely hereditary, although new claims to Rajput status continued to be made in the later centuries. Several Rajput-ruled kingdoms played a significant role in many regions of central and northern India until the 20th century. The Rajput population and the former Rajput state are found in north, west, central and east India. These areas include Rajasthan, Haryana, Gujarat, Uttar Pradesh, Himachal Pradesh, Jammu, Uttarakhand, Bihar and Madhya Pradesh. Our next topic is Chauhans. Prithviraj III, popularly known as Prithviraj Chauhan or Rai Pithora, was the king from the Chahamana Chauhan dynasty. He ruled Sabdalaksha, the traditional Chahamana territory in present-day northwestern India. He controlled much of the present-day Rajasthan, Haryana and Delhi, and some parts of Punjab, Madhya Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh. His capital was located at Ajaymeru, modern Ajmer, although the medieval folk legend described him as the king of India's political center, Delhi, to portray him as a representative of the pre-Islamic Indian power. Early in his career, Prithviraj achieved military successes against several neighboring Hindu kingdoms, most notably against the Chandela king Paramardi. He also repulsed the early invasion of Muhammad of Ghori, a ruler of Muslim Ghurid dynasty. However, in 1192 CE, the Ghurids defeated Prithviraj at the Second Battle of Taran, or we can say that in 1192, the Second Battle of Taran between the Muhammad Ghazni and the Prithviraj Chauhan, and Prithviraj Chauhan was defeated from Muhammad of Ghazni in that particular period. And in 1191, the first Battle of Taran took place between again the Muhammad Ghazni and Prithviraj Chauhan, where Muhammad Ghazni was defeated from Prithviraj Chauhan. His defeat at Taran is seen as a landmark event in the Islamic conquest of India and has been described in several semi-legendary accounts. The most popular of these accounts is Prithviraj Raso, which represent him as a Rajput, although the Rajput identity did not exist during his time. Next topic is administration of the kingdom. Kings shared their administrative power with Samantas, Brahmanas, traders, and association of peasants. Peasant cattle keepers, artisans, and all those who produced something had to pay taxes or rents, and traders had to pay revenue. Under the Chola dynasty, there were around 400 different types of taxes, from which forced labors and kadamai land revenue were the most common. The reason of collecting taxes were to fulfill the finance of the king's establishment, to build temples and forts, and to fight wars. The high position at kingdoms, including the army, were appointed either by hereditary or through influential families. The last topic of this chapter is revenue. The revenue is the income generated from normal business operation and include discounts and deduction for returned merchandise. It is the top line or gross income figure from which costs are subtracted to determine net income. Sales revenue formula. Revenue is also known as sale on the income statement. At last, the case study on Chola dynasty. Chola dynasty was the Tamil dynasty of southern India, one of the longest ruling dynasty in the world history. The earliest datable references to the Chola are an inscription from the 3rd century BCE left by Ashoka of the Maurya Empire as one of the three crowned kings of Tamilakam. Along with the Chera and Pandya, the dynasty continued to govern over varying territory until the 13th century CE. Despite this ancient origin, the period when it is appropriate to speak of a Chola empire only begins with the medieval Cholas in the mid 9th century CE. The heartland of the Chola was the fertile valley of the Kaveri river, but they ruled a significantly larger area at the height of their power from the later half of the 9th century till the beginning of the 13th century. The whole country south of the Tungabhadra was united and held as one of the state for a period of 3 centuries and more between 907 to 15 AD under Rajaraja Chola I and his successor Rajendra Chola I, Rajadhira Chola, Virajendra Chola, and Koluthunga Chola I. The dynasty became a military, economic, and cultural power in South Asia and Southeast Asia. The power of the new empire was proclaimed to the eastern world by the expedition to the Ganges, which Rajendra Chola first undertook, and by naval raids on cities of the city-state of Srivijaya, as well as by repeated embassies to China. The Cholas' fleet represented the zenith of ancient Indian sea power. During the period 1010 and 1153, the Chola territory stretched from the island of Maldives in the south to as far north as the bank of the Godavari River in Andhra Pradesh. The Rajaraja Chola conquered peninsular South India, an next part of which is now Sri Lanka, and occupied the island of the Maldives. Rajendra Chola sent a victorious expedition to North India that touched the river Ganges and defeated the Pala ruler of Patliputra, Mahipala. He also successfully invaded the city of Srivijaya of Malaysia and Indonesia. The Chola dynasty went into decline at the beginning of 13th century with the rise of Pandyan dynasty, which ultimately caused their downfall. The Cholas left a lasting legacy. Their patronage of Tamil literature and their zeal in the building of temple has resulted in some great work of Tamil literature and architecture. The Chola kings were avid builders and envisioned the temples in their kingdoms not only as places of worship but also as centers of economic activity. They pioneered a centralized form of government and established a disciplined bureaucracy. The Chola school of art spread to Southeast Asia and influenced the architecture and out of Southeast Asia. Thank you and have a nice day.